they call it the pop. Remember that? The pop.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the orgasm of seeing a moment that you've been waiting for. You know, it only comes once in a great while. We only get those moments once in a great while in any type of combat sport.
Back and lands a big Olympic medal, illegal medalist for the United States, and then the offers start coming in.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
maybe I will turn pro. Why not?
Brown Jr. making a statement here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, leave it in the ring.
Oh, welcome back to the channel, guys. G Funky Boxing. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. We have a very special guest joining me and my co-host Dave Duenas tonight. Referee Jack Reiss is here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jack, for coming on. I appreciate the time, man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I met you down a few weeks ago down in Los Angeles for the Golden Boy card. Fun card, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah, I
Gotta
enjoyed
ask you
it.
something. Gotta ask you something. Honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't female boxing just come so far so quickly? Amazing. The skill level has
sure
really
did, yeah.
changed.
It sure did.
You know,
And
Gabriella comes from a fight family. I was even telling G Funky, like, her mom was an amateur fighter. Her dad was an amateur fighter. You know what I mean? So, like, you talk about keeping it in the family. Holy smokes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and she's
Did Freddie ever fight? Did the father ever fight?
Yeah, they both so I don't think that's how they met. I think they found out later, but they both had like a very very small amateur career.
It's cool.
Yeah. And that was a fantastic fight. I actually met up with the Fundors later after the show at the hotel, and yeah, they're a sight to see. I mean, they're both she's very tall for a female, and he's a gigantic person. I mean, in real life.
Yeah.
So, but they're very nice people, and it was a pleasure to meet them. But yeah, fantastic show. I was glad to be a part of it and glad to, meet up with you there and get you here. So Jack, let's talk about something real quick. Your background real quickly for the audience. You were a fireman, right? You were a chief in the fire department?
I was a captain on the Los Angeles City Fire Department.
Okay.
Did 31 years with LAFD.
Nice. I know my co-host here had a question about that, right? Go ahead, Dave.
About being a captain? No. I did it. No. I just knew that's what he did. I know he came from Brooklyn, and I was like, oh man, okay. Well, Biggie came from Brooklyn. A lot of people came from Brooklyn,
Yeah. That's cool how you ended up out here in California all the way from Brooklyn.
What got you over here in California? First off, like leaving there, the East Coast is a completely different dynamic from there to come down over here.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of it instead of drawing it out. I was a amateur full contact kickboxer and boxed a little bit, but it was back in the day. It was very unorganized and weren't getting enough fights and stuff like that. And I trained for 3 months, sparred 105 hard rounds with different guys to get ready for a 2-minute round full contact kickboxing fight. Had the fight. It kept falling out. I was supposed to train 6 weeks. They couldn't. The opponent fell out. They couldn't find another opponent. It was a mess back in the day. Anyway, I had this fight, and I injured the top of my foot. I threw a roundhouse kick, caught the guy in the elbow, injured my foot, finished the fight and everything. And I really needed a vacation. And instead of going to Florida to visit my girlfriend like I did all the time that was living down there, I said, I'm going to go visit my buddy out in California, and I just never left. I was 23, and it was time to get my life in order and make the realization of that I was never going to be a pro fighter, and it wasn't going to pay me to have a living doing that stuff. And I just said, let me try something else. And God had his hand on me, and I got on the fire department about 1.5 years later.
Nice.
Wow,
Nice.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is great there. And you're a former fighter. So I know that's something that a lot of fans talk about is, are these referees, do they have any experience fighting, or they should have experience fighting if they're going to be refereeing fights. But currently, I believe you are the guy that trains all the referees here in California, right, Jack?
I'm one of them. Yeah, I've been. I'm as old as dirt, so I'm one of the guys that have been around. They rely on me to pass on experience and viewpoints and stuff like that. So yeah, I do train them, as well as I got a professional referee school that I got two great guys working with me. You guys know Tom Taylor and Russell Mora.
Yes.
Just a world-class, top-notch officials, and the three of us put this class on every year. It's called Soul Arbiter, and anybody wants to learn about it can go on to soularbiter.com. And even people who don't want to be a referee can join us, because it's a great fantasy weekend. You spend 3 days in and out of the ring learning theory and processes and mechanics, and then you get in the ring and you apply them. We have professional fighters going through the motions with us, and you're surrounded by just great boxing people.
Nice. And we have already a super chat from my guy, Sly Tendency. Just give him a hand. Thank you for the donation. And he says, can you ask Jack about the Rolly stoppage? Now, I'm not sure if he can actually talk about other fights that he's not involved in. Is that something that you can do, Jack, or?
No, I'm not allowed to criticize the performance of any other officials or even comment negatively on it. I signed an agreement. It's an ethics agreement we all sign.
Right.
All I can tell you is, look, I wasn't in the ring. I wasn't, 2 feet away from the fighter when Tony Weeks stopped it. He saw something that other people maybe didn't. But, a lot of guys at home are drinking beer and yelling and chatting. They're really not watching and, watching the progression of damage, considering the guy's, his age, his past few fights, what he's done in that weight class, and a whole slew of other things that leads us to a point when we say you got to pull the plug. So I can't comment on it that way.
Right. Jack, let me ask you this. I know you can't comment about the performance of certain reps and stuff, but speaking about the Usyk getting hit under the belt, that didn't look like he got hit under the belt against Daniel Dubois. How would you handle that situation if you were in the ring that night?
Well, that'll get me in trouble, but just let me say this. You guys can be your own judge. What I would like to do for you guys, and I've done it for other people as well, is I will define clearly, beyond any shadow of a doubt, what a low blow is and what a low blow isn't. So there's a lot of controversy because people just don't understand what's written in the books, and some of the books were written incorrectly. And here, how that happened is people have confused 4 terms: the belt line, the waistband line, the hip line, and the waistband. They've been convoluting those 4 terms into one. And the reality is, did you guys grow up playing Simon Says ever in school?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And butts up. Would
you appease me for a moment?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Right now, everybody stand up. Okay. Simon Says, put your hands on your hips. Okay. Now watch what I'm doing on the screen. I'm going to slide my fingers around till they come together. Right. You guys do the same thing.
Just did it.
That's your hip line. That's the top of your hip. Where is your belly button compared to your fingers right now?
Right here.
Like
yours is a
inch away.
Hey, yours is a 4-inch gap, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
It's a little bit closer than Dave's.
Okay. So the point with this is the belly button moves different on different people.
Yes, absolutely.
It is,
right.
Mario. It's no 2 people are alike. But the hip line is always where it's going to be. Right. You have a thoracic, an abdominal, and a pelvic cavity, and the top of the hip line ends the pelvic cavity. And a cup, a protective and foul-proof cup, was made to reach the top of the hip line across the top. So,
Well, I know if you're a beer drinker that it's going to be like 8 inches away from your hip line, right? You know, because the stomach extends and stuff. That's like 98% of boxing fans that we're talking about right there. So yeah, completely different. But go ahead, Jack.
it's different. So it's the legal part is the top of the hip line, from the top of the hip line to the top of the other hip line. So let me just tell you something. In some sports, if your foot touches the line, you're out of bounds. But like tennis, if the ball hits the line, it's fair, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Boxing, a punch. If this is the hip line right here, this is the line. A punch that's on the hip line is legal.
Ooh, yes.
The term, it's got to be below the hip line. Below the hip line. So until the glove starts drifting down to maybe where only one finger was really on that hip line, a referee shouldn't say anything. And if it's still on the hip line with one finger, on the first couple of times it happens, keep them up. Hey, watch yourself, keep them up. When it's below that, it's definitely a low blow. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense, Jack. And
very clear.
I want to comment on that because a lot of fans following that fight, and also some big writers in boxing, were complaining that it was clearly a low blow, not even close, can't even debate it. And my issue is, normally we see whether it's the instructions in the dressing room or the final instructions just before the bell, the referee will determine, hey, this is good and this is good on either guy. And again, because some guys wear the trunks high, you can't see the navel, or like you said, the hip line. Sometimes you can. That didn't happen in that fight. So fans are going off of reciting the ABC rules about navels, and like you said, navels, belt lines, waistlines, all these things. So I'm glad that you said what you said right now, Jack, because that makes complete sense to me. But for some fans, for some reason, it doesn't. I don't get it.
Do you guys remember when Howard Letterman used to throw up the rules before the fight up on the screen? I don't understand why they don't do that anymore for us, for fans to understand what they're about to witness or view.
I don't understand either, but I got to tell you just brought up a great topic there, Dave. We've lost a couple of icons in the sport, and not only people, but we lost HBO. HBO is the mecca of boxing. Now we just lost Showtime. Boxing. Everything's gone to streaming. And look, change is inevitable. You got to progress, but we've really lost some good old standard icons that we used to have, and it's changing. And social media changed it. And when it comes back to the belt line, the low blow, the other thing that got in the way was modern times and style. So back in the old day when Tyson and those guys, even before Tyson, in his era, they wore trunks with a 1-inch waistband. Now, what's his name? Emiliano Vargas?
Yeah.
He wore a 7 or an 8-inch waistband in his last fight with double advertising on it. He had 2 names on it because these guys are getting paid for things, or they put their family on.
Sponsorship, yeah.
So the belt, the top of the waistband comes up just below the solar plex.
Right.
Those are not low blows. Those are legal shots. So it confuses people, but I hope what I was able to communicate to you guys won't confuse people anymore. And going back to the question you asked about in the center of the ring.
Yeah.
To me, and like my buddies Russell Mora, Tom Taylor, Ray Corona, when we got a fighter that his trunks are high in the center of the ring, we identify the top of the hip. So the fans and the corners, so there's not going to be an argument. This is the line right here. So we try to make it simpler, and some guys just don't do it. I don't know why.
That's great.
Going back with Luis, and I know, like you said, you can't, talk about that, but is there any time with the commission do you feel that should step in? Because I'll just tell you my thought about Luis, that what he did with the Dubois, and then at the AJ fight with Usyk, he did it twice. He just didn't do it once. These are 2 separate fights. Jack, do you believe that there's got to be a point where there's got to be some type of investigation or something in terms of going back and looking at these fights and going, okay, you might have fell into the whole starstruck moment?
I can't comment on exactly what you're saying, but I will say this. There are plenty of times when a rule is violated or a referee has made an egregious mistake and they don't have instant replay, that the commissions, especially in California, anytime in a fight, either corner, if they feel they've been unjustly ruled in a situation, have 5 days to file a written protest. The commission will take that protest to the next commission meeting and hear from both sides. The referee is normally present, or the judges, whatever the case may be. They show it on a 40, 50-foot screen over and over again, try to make their points. And we have overturned decisions here in California. And I want to add something to that. I make mistakes. I'll tell you guys, I miss things. I make mistakes. I'm human. They're moving one way. I'm trying to not get caught up in the corner. I'm moving the other way. I'm directly behind them. I miss a headbutt or whatever it is, right? It happens. The guys who deny it, those are the guys that you don't want to deal with. We all make mistakes. That's why they have 6 or 8 guys on a football field and they're allowed to get in a huddle. We don't have that. But we have now instituted instant replay in California and other places as well. It's growing. The ABC just added it. Association of Boxing Commissions. For those fans out there that don't know what the ABC is, they made the unified rules that we use in championship fights. It's a great organization. And they're recommending instituting replay because I have found, me and other guys, we've found that when there's something that's controversial and maybe we miss something, right? A headbutt, just say, and we called it a punch, and they show it and we can correct it in live time right there. The fans, the promoters, everyone's forgiving to us because we got it right. We made it right instead of living with the bad call. So I wish everybody would do it.
Oh, that's great, man.
Same here. Yeah, I wish everybody would do it. Yeah,
what you're saying is, I mean, is what guys like myself and Dave have been saying, right? But because we're not a referee like yourself, we get backlash for it, and I'm sure we'll still get some. But I'm glad that someone like you, who we see in the ring, work these fights, says these things. Now, here's a question from the chat. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but we just recently found out that the Mexico does not operate under the unified ABC rules of boxing. Did you know that? And if you did know that, why is that? Because Mexico is actually in their little globe logo that they have, but they don't operate under the rules. Do you know anything about that, Jack?
Yes. So that's one of the challenges that we face in boxing. There's a local commission in every state in the United States. There's also Indian tribe commissions within some of the states. Each one of them do it their own way. The UK does it the way they do it. Mexico does it the way they do it. And the beauty of the Association of Boxing Commissions, the ABC, what they did is they unified everybody for championship fights only. Everyone has accepted all over the world that if it's a world championship fight, we're going to use this rule set. When they do the undercards and they do their local shows, even in California, we have some different rules here that on non-championship fights we use. I'll give you one of them real quick. ABC, you cannot be saved by the bell in any round. In California, if we're doing an undercard fight, you could be saved by the bell in the last round.
Oh, okay.
That's just one. That's one of the changes. There's a bunch of them. When a guy gets knocked out of the ring, or a fighter gets knocked out of the ring, also time to recover. Different things are different in the world championship level and in the local level. So, and part of the problem is, how do you tell a good old boy from Iowa your rules aren't good enough? They do 2 shows a year. I'm saying Iowa. I'm not picking on Iowa.
Right.
A state that hardly does any fights. For some of them, well, it's good enough. Our stuff is good enough. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get people to change. But what makes the change is ESPN and all these other places sometimes will be reluctant to go to those spots to hold a world championship fight because they're not willing to change. They have to agree to use the ABC rules. And a lot of times, because their officials aren't as experienced, they bring in officials from other states or other parts of the world. So the fighters get what they deserve. They get an experienced person overseeing the fight.
Has
Great.
that screwed you guys up in the past? Like, let's just say Iowa, like you're mentioning right now, we're not picking on them, but like you're mentioning right now, let's say they don't budge. And let's just say that the promoter goes, well, you know what? I already have investment. Let's have it there. Has that ever happened where it messes up a ref that goes there believing they're going to use the ABC rules, not the Iowa State rules?
I've never had that experience. Everywhere I've gone to officiate, they've agreed upon the ABC rules for the championship bouts. Now, I have assisted and been fortunate enough that they said, hey, would you like to do an undercard fight or two? I said, yeah, I'd like a little warm up before I get in the main event or whatever. And I was under their rules. So I did my homework before I went there. Usually from conventions or traveling around, there's somebody in that state I'm going to know that I worked with somewhere. And if not, now the beauty of social media and the internet, I can go online and download their rule set, call somebody, say, hey, this is pretty peculiar to me. What is the intent and the spirit of this, and how do they want us to handle this mechanically? And by the time you get there, if you're doing your homework, you're going to be you'll be okay. But I haven't experienced any problems with it that way. What I have experienced problems with, just to answer your question, though, is with doctors. So the doctors in other states do things a little bit different than doctors in the real experienced places like California, Las Vegas, Nevada, New York, Texas, Florida, where they're doing all the fights. So a guy in say a slower state, it's either sometimes it's the extreme. They get nervous and they stop the fight too quick, or they're just some old timer, and he goes, nah, he's fine, let him go. And you're trying to get the guy out of there.
Right.
He's taking a beating. He's lost on all the scorecards every round that you could tell, and you want to get him out. And the doctor's going, he's fine. It's not fun.
Oh boy.
That's a challenge.
guys in the chat, I see you guys asking a lot of questions. I appreciate the questions. We're gonna get through ours quick because it's not that many. Yeah. And then when we're done, we'll take all your questions. We have Jack here for at least an hour, so we appreciate that. But we want to get into some specific fights now that Jack has been a part of.
Right.
And one of the most famous ones in recent years that you were involved in, Jack, was a heavyweight championship match between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury that took place in Los Angeles. The infamous moment, round 12, what looks like Fury's getting ready to get an easy victory, according to most people. He gets dropped with a nice right hand, left foot combination, goes flat on his back. You're there. Walk us through what you saw, Jack, because there was a lot of conspiracy theories on YouTube in this community, and that's why this community is so terrible now. But a lot of conspiracy theories came from that. I want you to walk us through what you saw there and why you elected to let the fight go on.
Do I have the ability to share my screen?
Yes, there's an option at the bottom where it says present, and you should be able to share through there.
All right. So if you'll appease me for a moment, I got to find the file. We could show the pictures afterward. How about that? I'll look for them while I'm taking you through this. And even if we're on the next topic, we'll get to see the pictures.
Sure.
So look, guys,
absolutely.
This was the first heavyweight championship fight in Los Angeles in 22 years. And this was a real heavyweight fight. 6'5", 225, 6'9", 276.
Right.
These guys were beasts. And it was a very spirited fight. It was a great fight. But what was missing in that fight, there wasn't a lot of damage to either guy. And it was an exciting night. It was really loud in the arena. And I'm not criticizing anybody, but the only people really, really paying attention are the refs, the three judges, and the commission. The commentators are thinking about what's the next thing I could say that's going to make me sound smart. Everybody else is drinking beer and into the excitement, but we're paying attention. So I knew what I had in front of me, and I'm going to show you proof of this when I get to it. But he got hit with that beautiful right, and then the left hand that finished him. And when he went down, I'm telling you straight up, it is nothing but bullshit that everybody is saying that he was unconscious. I'm going to tell you two things that you could verify by watching on your own. He didn't fall flat on his back and slam his head. He took the fall on his elbow and his shoulder, and his head jerked back, but his head never hit the canvas. And then he laid back to rest, And when I saw him go down, I saw the way he went down. I signaled our mechanic to let everybody know I was acknowledging a knockdown. Said down, pointed Wilder to the neutral corner, flipped my head and picked up the time from the timekeeper, which I could hear her yelling. And she stood up. It was great. And when I turned back to look at Fury, his right leg was up. He was resting his right leg in a bent position where his knee was up.
Right. Correct.
He wasn't unconscious. An unconscious person would have been out. And the other thing I saw was when he was on the ground, he was squeezing his hands. He was trying to gain his composure. He was a big guy, 12th round, got knocked down. So instead of just waving it off, I said, let me see what I got. And in my head,
hold on, Jack, because I gotta get you to explain that, because people that are going to see this that are into the Glovegate conspiracies, they're going to say, wait a minute, how in the hell did you see his hands squeeze?
His gloves were moving.
Exactly. Okay. Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, his gloves were moving. When I'm in there, not me only, all of us.
Right.
You're at a heightened sense of awareness. You're focused, and the more you do this, the easier it becomes. Neural pathways. Your brain is taking information in different than someone that hasn't done it before. And I was watching this thing like like I always do with fights. And I watched him go down. I watched the 2 shots that hit him. I watched how he took them, how he fell, how he landed, what he did when he was down there. And when I turned back, his leg was up, and as I was walking in, he was just doing this with his gloves. So I had in my head, I was counting 2, 3, and when I got to just after 2, when I got over to him, I could see his eyes were open. They weren't open fully, but his eyes were not closed. And when I kneeled down and I said 3 or 4, his eyes were definitely open. And when I got to 5 or 6, I can't remember what it was, he really opened them, realized it's time to get up, and he started rolling over and getting up. He was never totally unconscious. Even when he said that, it's to sell the next fight, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Right.
And you can see in this picture right here, this is what I used to let my audience know that you were coming on today. And you could clearly see right here, like he's describing, look, you see the leg is bent right there. You see him standing right over Fury's face.
Right shoulders up. Right shoulders up.
Letting him know where he's at with the count, and Fury's eyes are wide open right there.
Okay, so let me just say something to you, though. Mario, at that point, you could see my fingers. I was at 6. That's when he popped 5 is when he popped his eyes open, and 6 is when he started rolling over to get up. But I'm looking for I got the file up, and I'm looking for the shot that you could see when I turned to him what he was doing, and I'm trying to find it. If I can, nope, that ain't it. I'll find it. But you'll see his leg was up, and I've got a multitude of pictures. If I would have known you would ask this, I should have had it ready, actually.
How do you feel, Jack? Let me ask you, how do you feel being part of one of the, right now in history, one of the biggest conspiracy trilogy fights?
I really look at it as I was blessed to be part of one of the, key moments that'll live for a really long time, if not forever, in heavyweight history, where a guy got dropped in the 12th round and got up, regained his composure, and he survived the next 20 seconds because Wilder came in like a beast trying to finish.
Yes.
And after that 20 seconds, Wilder was shot. If not shot, he was tired.
Punched himself out.
That round from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel good. But how do I feel about the controversy?
Yes.
This is the world we live in today because of social media and technology. People sitting, I'm going to go back to Iowa. Some guy that doesn't have an athletic bone in his body sitting behind a computer that never played sports, that's 400 pounds, he gets hurt because he can type and he puts stuff on a computer. I don't know what he's looking at. This never happened. Those things didn't happen 20, 25 years ago. It's now that the computer is so prevalent in our lives and social media is so prevalent, everything's controversial. We didn't land on the moon and all these other things that are going on now. 9/11 was Americans. Right. And they doctor up evidence and you don't know what to believe anymore. But it is what it is.
How surprised were you though that because I get the fans like God, what football, baseball, there's always fans that are going to come up with a reason why their team or their fighter lost. But
True.
This with fans, right? But this got a little deeper when you had a heavyweight champion buy into this and started like saying, yeah, you know what? Jack was probably paid to make sure that he, delayed on the count. How does that did you ever have a chance to talk to Wilder about this after? Has he ever approached you and even asked you, hey, were you in on the con or what, or any of that?
How did I feel about it? I was very disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up totally different. I really feel, I'll give you a great example. I'm going to go back and I'm going to put this on you. How did you feel about Mike Tyson when he was saying terrible things? I want to eat your baby. I want to fuck you in the ass. When he was having his nervous mental breakdowns.
Yeah,
I love
right.
Mike Tyson.
Terrible.
I love, just don't even go there. I love Mike Tyson. But I don't discredit Mike Tyson for that. I discredit the people he allowed in his life that were feeding him with a bunch of shit. And they screwed Mike up. So the way I look at this is, I'm no expert, but maybe Deontay Wilder has some people in his life that, I don't know. I don't think my wife would have, if I was Deontay Wilder and I lost the second and the third fight, would allow me to walk out and say, my uniform, the 30-pound uniform I was wearing, took my legs that night.
Yeah.
About 25 other things. Okay. So did you ever see Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes.
Remember Uncle Rico?
Rico. Yes. We all have them in our lives.
We would all dress and look like Uncle Rico and say, I could throw a football over a mountain if we didn't have somebody in our life saying, you ain't doing that shit. You are not going out there and doing that shit. Well, in this case, I think that it's just a point where the people around him they want something from him. This is what happened to Tyson, Robin Gibbons, and Don King.
Right.
They wanted something from him, so all they do is feed his ego. Yes, men.
Yes,
but that's not the way to serve a real friend.
You're absolutely correct.
Let me just show you guys something. I'm going to share two things here.
Go ahead.
This is great, man, and you're 100% right about that. Bunch of yes men. That's all it was. And Wilder himself was only doing interviews with guys that agreed with the nonsense that he was spitting out.
How do I share the picture? How do I share the picture that I want?
Okay, if you just click the present, and it should give you an option from there to share the screen. You should just select it and then hit share, and then I'll put it on the screen.
Well, it's just showing me a window. I want to share a window with it, or a player, or a preview, or a picture. It's not allowing me to.
Is it a video or?
No, I got videos, but I got pictures of the exact moment that we were just discussing that I would love to show you guys. So I'll try it again.
Yeah, you see, once you hit present, it should
say
or
a video file.
Hit where it says share screen.
I did.
Okay, and then is there another screen that popped up, and then there should be.
It says choose mono share screen best work.
Are the files there from your computer that are the pictures? No,
when it comes up, it says Chrome tab, window, or entire screen.
Try the Chrome tab.
The entire screen, and then I'm going to do
do the entire screen first. Yeah.
I got to go to Chrome and do all this crazy stuff. Forget it.
Yeah.
How about if I send this to you and you share it?
Sure, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that.
All right. So you can see this picture I'm sending you is when I first got to him. You'll see I just started to make my count. I hadn't even got the full count out yet. His leg is up, eyes are wide open, looking at me. All right, so let me just send this to you in the mail. Mario, remind me of the address, the email address.
Okay, it's gfunky84.
Okay, it'll come up. There we go. I got it. Pick one. I'm just going to send you pick one. So this is when I first got to him. Okay, the next one I'll send you.
So there's some people here in the chat that are bringing up some of the things that they heard from fans on YouTube. Someone said that you were paid off to give Fury a long count. Somebody said that they even said you had smelling salt in your hand to help wake up Tyson Fury. I mean, this is this is unbelievable.
Again, have you ever had a chance to talk to Deontay?
No, he has been. I'm open to talk to him. I respect him immensely. I did 5 of his fights. The 4 before this one, they were so happy with me, they kept bringing me back for more. And then this incident happened, and he's been very professional. He's been bad mouthing the shit out of me and saying a lot of bad stuff. But when we've passed each other in the hallway of fights, he's gone his own way and he's ignored me. And I'm going to stay away from him and be professional. So no, I really haven't chatted. Someday I would love to sit and chat with him at a different chapter of his life, because like I said, for 4 fights before this, I walked on water with that camp because I was honest and I was fair. And and you could see in his 4 fights prior to this, he didn't knock the guy out. He dropped him. He dropped his opponents in the 4 fights I did prior to that. But I stopped all those 4 fights because I felt the other fighter had taken enough. And it was the same thing with this. So,
right.
I'll tell you. So tell me if you got the pictures, Mario.
Yeah, I got them. I'm just looking for the
Go to
second
picture
one.
2.
Okay. Let me go to the folder. This is great, man. Thank you so much for this, Jack.
Oh, of course.
And okay, why is the second one not showing up? So,
or you can go to picture 1 and I'll just explain it. Picture 1 is one to him. His leg is up. You could actually see his gloves.
There we go.
What he was doing, but he was squeezing those things. And look at his eyes.
Yeah, you can see him open. He's looking right at you.
I know what everybody's doing crazy about, but it's just conspiracy theories.
No, it really is. It really is. And
he's literally, you can see he's literally looking up, counting stars.
He's looking at me. He's literally looking at me. His eyes are slightly to the right and looking straight at me.
Yep. I argued with guys in the lead up to the rematch about this. One guy actually told me that he could have been killed. Reiss should be fired because Fury could have been killed that night by Wilder. And I mean, it's like, dude, he got up and he actually hurt Wilder later in the round. Like, I mean,
it's crazy. What's crazy, G Funky and Jack, is, tell me if I'm wrong about this. We're fans that anticipate a moment that we're not sure is going to happen. I'm at the movie theaters. I watch in the movie theaters here in town, and I remember him getting dropped. And I remember the exact moment. I'm sitting there with other fans, and I looked over to the left for the guys that listened to Leaving the Ring that showed up, and I go, it's over. It's done. I actually stood up, like thinking, like, I'm going to walk out. That's it. It's over. He rises back up. And I'm just like, here's the moment. These are the moments as fans that we wait for. It just makes me cringe, and it disappoints me in how fans can literally shit on a moment that we waited for. Like this is why we became boxing fans. It's the drama of unexpected in the ring.
But this is the world we live in today. This didn't happen before social media. And you've identified it 100%. And we have to live with this the rest of our lives. I hope that you guys never have to be put into some kind of controversy where people lie about you and you got to answer to these type of things. But I got to tell you guys something. 99% of the boxing community has opened their arms and reached out to me and thanked me. And I'm gonna explain what you just said a little differently.
Go ahead.
People come to see a boxing match to witness the human spirit. Someone taking a beating and refusing to quit and keep going. That's what happened with Tyson Fury. He got dropped big time in the 12th round, refused to stay down, got up, regained his composure, and finished that fight moving forward. That's what we go to boxing for. If that guy could do it, we could do it. That's what
really think Tyson
watch these fights.
Okay, found the video. Finally.
His eyes are open there.
Let's go ahead and watch it again.
That's a perfect spot right there.
Moment, did
So you
anyone
can
in the
see-
arena
go back.
really think Tyson
So that's
Fury?
where it started. If you could, okay.
Right there.
Wilder is making the sign of a chop the head off sign on his
Yes.
throat. He's just finishing, and I'm looking at the timekeeper to pick up the clock. His Fury's laying on his back, going, "Holy shit," and his eyes are open, his leg is up, and you can continue it now.
Okay. Yeah, you can see his eyes are open. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Look at that.
you guys,
He's even moving his mouth. Yep,
you guys
there he
did
is.
a great journalistic job today. Thank you for showing that. That's
Oh, absolutely, Jack. Thank you for giving us this. This is great, man.
Yeah.
And look, and again, it's
sucks
not
that
for
there
us.
has to be controversy, but it's just life. It's just life. What are you going to do? I'm happy
Yeah.
to be part of something. Look, it's just a regular guy like you guys. I put my pants on one leg at a time, like everybody else. To be part of something like this that I could, as a highlight of my career, I'm a happy guy with all the controversy or not, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be part of it. Oh, and I was going to tell you something else about that. Oh, so let me just explain something to you about the long count. So look, I didn't make that up. The ringside physicians, one of them led by a neurologist, taught us. Let me start by saying this. In the old days, you went down, very old days, they were allowed to hit you as soon as your glove came off the canvas. Jack
Right.
Dempsey, Jack Johnson, there were fighters dying. So a public outcry came and said, hey, you got to regulate this sport. And that's where we all came in commissions. But back in the day, in the 50s and the 60s, the fighter went down. The guy counted. When he got up, he counted. If he didn't get up by 10, the fight was over. If he got up, he wiped his gloves and said box. Those guys were all getting knocked the f- out right afterward. And as things progressed, the ringside physicians, who some of them said are neurologists, teaching us you got to test his cognitive intelligently defend himself. You got to test his logical function. What I'm talking about is it's no different than what a cop does when he suspects that you're drunk behind that wheel. He gets you out of the car and he makes you walk. So we want to test his gait. It's called the referee's gait test. So back in the 80s, 90s, we used to say, you okay? The reason we did this is because as a first responder, I can tell you this, when you have a concussed patient or someone that's unconscious, the first thing you want to do to stimulate a response is shake and shout. The first thing is a verbal situation, and then a physical shaking and shouting to get the guy's attention to make him focus on you. Well, with a sobriety test, you want to make them walk. What they found is I don't want to get too technical, but the frontal lobe is one of the first and the last, first developed, last to go in your body. So that's why some guys who are drunk and they walk, they could stumble forward because the first thing you learn to do as a baby when you get up, you learn to walk to your mom and dad, and it stays with you. That's one less thing to go. So the doctor said, look, to really test their cognitive function, it's not only walk forward, you got to do something else. So people were saying, raise his right hand, make him, do this. It was funky looking and what guys were trying to do. They said it's pretty simple. Make them walk to the side and turn, because making them turn makes the brain communicate with the other lobes. It's something that's just not in the frontal lobe. And if the guy can turn and walk back to you, then his brain is communicating. The lobes are communicating with each other. So we got this from them, and I instituted in that instant because that was the 12th round of a really good fight, and he went down hard, and I wanted to make sure. I knew I had a tornado named Deontay Wilder across the ring going to come and try to, finish this guy, which he did. I had to know he was able to understand where he was and protect himself.
Right, protect himself at all times. Yeah.
And guess what?
Great.
It was early when we started doing that, and now it's written in the ABC manual, and everybody's doing it. Everyone's doing it now.
And Jack, the funny thing is you mentioned that, and it all makes sense. Neurologically, right? Makes sense.
Yes.
But people still complain about that. They're like, I can't stand that he makes them go this way and that way. I mean, I've heard it all, Jack, but on this channel, we got the best fans in YouTube, and this is exactly why. Because I was literally just about to ask you this after we got off the Wilder Fury thing. Another super chat here from my guy Sly Tendencies. He says Jack's finest hour was when he fined Ward and Rodriguez 2 points each. It said, "Knock that shit off." I haven't seen a ref go in like that since Mills Lane.
Right.
I was gonna ask you about that. That was another one of the most famous moments you were involved in that fight. Round 4, a lot of holding, a lot of clinching, a lot of inside fighting, especially with Andre Ward. He was known for that. But in this particular moment, early in round 4, yeah, there was some hitting behind the head. There was guys were getting a little heated, and you even got mixed up, and you got caught with a punch, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so yeah, let's talk about that.
Mario, I didn't go down, Mario. They didn't.
There it is. Down. There it is. That's right. So walk us through that moment as well. And you also recommended that the commission fine both of them.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through the whole thing there, Jack.
Listen, the backstory that you guys don't know, and you'll once you hear it, understand. I swear to you, when I walked in the arena, you could feel the attention in the arena. I had my clothes in my bag, and I got approached, promoted. Then I got approached by what's his name, Rodriguez's camp. And everybody was pointing fingers and arguing and yelling. I said, "Would you mind if I go change my clothes before we discuss this?" And I could say, those two guys hated each other.
Yeah.
Literally hated each other. And what you don't know, or you might not remember, is I love Edwin Rodriguez. We know each other. But I'm telling you what I feel. I don't think Edwin thought he could beat Andre at the 168 or whatever the weight was.
Yeah.
He came in 10 pounds overweight. You guys remember that?
Oh,
10 pounds.
Wow. No, I don't remember that. Wow.
So they had a stipulation. So that's demonstrating you didn't even try to make weight, because you'll take the penalty and you'll fight the weight you're comfortable with and not have to train that next day in the fight. So this is what the camps, part of what the camps were arguing about. Ward and his camp almost called off the fight. There was big money involved. They took 200,000 or 250. 200 from Rodriguez. They gave the commission 100,000. They gave Ward 100,000, something like that, just to make the fight, because it was the main event. And they made a stipulation that Rodriguez can't weigh more than X amount of pounds on the next day. They did the day of the fight weigh-in. So the morning of the day of the fight, somebody from some thug that I don't know how he was involved with Ward's camp, he went. They were supposed to weigh in at 9:00, and they were trying to throw Rodriguez off. They went and they stole the scale, so he couldn't weigh in at 9:00.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
So he would have to hold his weight until they could figure this out. They caught the guy running through the arena with the scale, and they got it back, and they got him on. So there was so much tension between these two guys. Yes. So now we start the fight, right? And they hated each other so much. It was like two kids in a playground just wailing away at each other with just dirty stuff. It was 1-2 hold wrestle. It wasn't a clean fight. And I was trying to get control of it, or keep control of it, so it wouldn't get out of hand. Because the last thing I ever want to do is disqualify somebody in any time, but especially in a fight like that. And I'm sorry for the long-winded story, but I think you guys needed to hear the background.
No, that's great. Yeah. That's great.
So what you guys don't know is every round I was talking to them where you couldn't hear me. Guys, knock this shit off. Andre, let him go. Edwin, keep the punches up. I was just trying to, like you do with your kids at home, right?
Right.
In between rounds, I was going up and I was saying to their trainers, "Hey, I'm telling you, they're getting to the limit where I'm going to start taking points, or worse, take control of your fighter." And in the 4th round, they got tied up. Andre's head went underneath Edwin's arm. And I said the word stop. And I told him in the dressing room, anytime I say the word stop, anything you throw after stop or anything you do after stop is a foul. So I said stop repeatedly. And Edwin, instead of staying still, he started walking backwards, and he raised his shoulders and his arm, and he was doing a guillotine to Andre.
Yeah.
Andre threw a punch over the top and cracked him, and they went flying into the ropes. So I jumped in to grab them to stop the progression of the fouls. And when I grabbed Andre to spin him off, Rodriguez hit me with a shot. So I felt like this was getting out of control. this is not going in the right direction. I got to make an impression on them that this is not acceptable. This is HBO, the highest level of boxing probably in the world, and they're carrying themselves like two kids in a schoolyard.
Right.
So I figured, like offsetting penalties in football, give them both penalties, fine, fouls, take some points. So the guy who does the next thing out of line, he's probably looking at disqualification. And for their other stuff, I recommended a fine to let everybody know now they just start losing money. And it worked because they came out, and then we got the other 8 rounds in.
Right.
Yeah, that's great, Jack. And yeah, that's one thing that I'll say to kind of add to that with the wrestling and the holding and things like that, because there is confusion amongst boxing fans as to what's legal and what's illegal when it comes to inside fighting. Now, I've been saying this for a while, especially when I do prediction shows where I know one fighter is known for holding or clinching. I'll make it clear. I'll say, look, guys, clinching is legal. Holding is illegal.
Right.
So, Jack, if you could talk to the fans briefly about that, explain to them what is a clinch and what is a hold in boxing.
Mario, that's a great question. And when I say this, I'm going to say it twice, and we're going to leave it alone for about 10 seconds so it drops in on everybody's head. Clinching is legal. Like you said, clinching is an offensive technique used to navigate the ring. Clinching is an offensive technique used to navigate the ring. I got my back against the ropes. I've been boxing this guy all night. He's got me up against the ropes. I don't want to be there. I clinch up, get my back off the ropes, push him off, and I'm out. That's clinching. Temporary stop action, temporary a way to move out of a bad position into a better position. And as long as you're letting go when the referee says let go, and as long as you're not stopping the total progression of the fight, it's legal. But when you do it repeated and it starts stopping the progression of any fight, or you do it where you're wrapping the guy's arms up and you're holding him and you're not moving and you're not trying to get into a better position, that's holding.
Yes. Very well said. And I always explain this to fans as well. I explain this to fans as well is if you hold the body, that's holding. If you hold the guy's head, kind of like you described with Rodriguez and Ward, that's holding as well. Bending below the waist.
Sometimes they end up in those dangerous positions, Mario. There's positions in boxing that happen because it's two guys going at it.
Yeah.
Or gals. So there's always going to be dangerous positions. And the head underneath the arm is more of a dangerous position that the referee has to stop and break them. It's not necessarily purposefully holding. They end up there. But the holding that I'm talking about is where a guy wraps a guy up with no intention of improving his position. He's just stopping the progression of the fight.
Just stalling the action.
Look, we let guys hold too. I let guys hold too. You know when?
When they're hurt?
Fucking hurt.
Yeah.
When they're hurt.
Yeah.
Because if a guy's holding, I know he's thinking.
Yes.
He's trying to survive the moment. I'm going to give him that. I'm going to say, let him go, and then I'm going to break him. I'm not going to penalize him if he's hurt and he's holding. He could run, he can hold, he could take a knee, he could fight back, he can do a lot of things. But holding is a conscious decision, and I'm happy about it. I'm not going to let him hold, but I'm certainly not going to admonish him for holding unless it becomes excessive.
And when you say excessive, that's completely up to any referee's discretion. That includes if you're a referee in the fight, right, Jack? There's no limit, right?
Correct. There's no if he does it 3 times, you take a point on a low blow or anything. It's just your discretion based upon what happened, the history of the prior rounds, and where you are at that point in the fight. And it changes fight to fight. Again, like I said, if the guy's in trouble and he's holding, I'm going to give him a lot more leeway than if he's holding and he's not in trouble. He doesn't want to be there.
Yep. Like we've seen several cases in the last couple of years, like a guy who's known for holding a lot, Devin Haney, was able to hold George Kambosos close to 100 times in 2 fights down in Australia. Never once was warned. Never once was a point taken. Earlier this year, Caleb Plant held Benavidez about 60 times in that fight. And Kenny Bayless, again, no point, no warning. Now, I know you can't comment on those things specifically. I'm just giving examples. But then we see a guy like another guy from California, Thomas Taylor, good referee. When he did the Magsayo Figueroa fight, he made it right away. I believe it was like the third or fourth round where he told Magsayo, look, you got to stop this holding.
Can't stop holding. Right.
I'm going to warn you. You need to stop the holding or I'm going to take a point. 2 rounds later, he took a point, and then the fight changed from there. So yeah, it's a different everywhere. Like you said, every situation is different. I think for most fans, they really want to see a little more consistency because it does make the fights very, very boring to watch. It's almost like watching wrestling, like UFC or something like that. Sometimes.
Right. Is this something that should be advised, Jack, to referees before they go into the fight? Should they watch tape on the assignment of fighters they're going to work with so they can kind of more or less know what they're going to be dealing with on that night?
It's a very good question, Dave, and I'll explain it to you. We are not like the NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball. We don't have one single entry point that tells us what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
What I hate about boxing is you 2 guys right now.
Right.
If you knew someone influential in boxing, 2 weeks from right now, you could be judging fights, and very shortly after, you could be reffing in some state somewhere, some country somewhere. You're going to fight them? If I was a ref and they brought you on and I was living in a place where I was hardly getting any fights, I got no power against these people. And we see it all the time. We see people that are reffing that shouldn't be reffing. That being said, there are old school ways to look at things, and there are referees that think, I don't want to know nothing about the fighter. I never looked at the fighter. I don't want to know nothing. I'm going to deal with what's in front of me. And I'm different than that. Tom Taylor, who was a great referee, and he did his job in that fight. And the reason I know he did his job is because you got it, Mario. You said you warned him, and everybody knew it was coming. When he took that point, there was no surprise to anybody because he gave him some leeway. He probably warned him 10 times where you guys didn't even hear it. But then he gave him that hard warning to let him know, that's it. I've seen enough. And when he took the point, were you mad at Tom? No. That's what you're supposed to do. So getting back to your question, me, Tom, Russell Mora, Ray Corona, the guys in California, and some good friends of mine in other places, I want to know everything I possibly can about the fighter before I get into the fight. It's information. It's tools in my tool chest. It doesn't mean I'm going to take points or anything right away, but at least I know what I'm dealing with. I could at least address some things in the dressing room before the fight that I'm not going to tolerate. So he's been warned already in the dressing room. A guy who has a tendency, like what you guys don't know is I took this approach for Wilder Fury, and I'm not going to tell you what it was, but I warned both fighters about 2 or 3 things that will not be acceptable to me that night, and they never did any of those things.
Wow, that's great.
And what you don't know is, well, even before the fight, the things we did, but I personally like to know everything I can about the fighter, what I'm dealing with. And our commission, Andy Foster, Mark Relier, the chief inspector, they bless us. They give us information on the fighter that I wish every commission would do. We get this BSI index. We get all of their you can look a lot of this stuff up on BoxRec, but there's also things that you can't look up on BoxRec. And I like to look at, okay, what this guy do in his last 5 fights. Was one guy the up-and-coming champ, and the other guy is the on-his-way-out champ who hasn't won in the last 5 to 8 fights, so he's lost 6 out of the last 10, 3 of them by stoppage. He hasn't fought in this weight class before because he can't make weight, and he's moved up. All these things have a factor in my mind on how long of a rope I'm going to give this guy when he starts getting in trouble. And it's the same thing with if I see him or her doing something repeatedly, and I've seen him do it in other fights, believe me, I'm telling them in the dressing room. The other part of it is that I'll give you a little inside information.
Mm-hmm.
You go in the dressing room, everybody's trying to get an edge. We go to give pre-fight instructions before each fight. You guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. For the fans who don't, it should be pre-fight expectations. We meet with each fighter one-on-one with their chief second. There's a lot more people in the room a lot of times, but it's our time with the chief inspector, who's the only person I want to deal with in the corner, and the fighter. And we tell them what we expect from them and what they can expect from us.
Right.
And when we're done, we usually say, you got any questions? And inevitably, the guys who are nervous or the guys looking for an edge, well, yeah, last fight he used his head. He's always
Yes.
doing this, blah, blah, blah. And my answer is, listen, that was that fight. That's not going to be acceptable this fight. And now that you've brought it up, I've watched you on your last 3 fights and you do some excessive holding. That's not going to be accepted tonight. So I turn it back on him to let him know I know about both of you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it works well for me. It works well for me.
Bringing up, God, he keeps saying his name too. And
Tom
the
Taylor?
other referee. No, the other referee.
Mora, Roy Corona?
Yes, Mora. Bringing up Mora about the low blows of the Albeco and Modest fight. Let me ask you this. Do you guys ever go back here? After a fight, you hear a lot of criticism on a particular fight, right? Do you ever go back and watch it and go, I need to fix this. I can't have that same night performance. Have any of you guys done that?
I do it all the time.
Nope.
Listen, I told you guys, I make mistakes.
Right.
I walk out of that ring. I've got a set group of peers that I work with that I trust them, that they're going to give me an honest answer. Like if I walk out of the ring and I stunk the place up and I always ask. I don't say how did I do? I don't say that.
Mm-hmm.
I go, you saw what happened tonight. What could I have done different or better? So the guys who go like this to me, you did great. You look great. Those aren't the guys I go to. The guys I go to are Tom Taylor, Russell Moore, Ray Corona, and guys across the country, Bill Clancy, other guys. And we sit with each other on the phone or watch the fights just like we did. And they'll say, well, in this situation, I thought maybe you could have stopped it. Or in this situation, why did you stop it? Maybe you could have let it go a little longer. Or why did you wait to take those points? Or what did you see? All that and stuff like that. And we make each other better. So, yeah, it's definitely something to improve. You need to self-critique and you need to have honest peers that are going to ask you the questions to assist you in looking at it.
Yeah. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, and Dave as well, but I believe Mora wasn't he reprimanded for that after the Albeco fight? I believe
Reprimanded for what?
I thought that was, I could be mistaken, but I thought maybe they had took him off.
You mean suspended or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Let me just tell you something. I'm going to say the name. I'm going to tell you, okay? Al Bernstein, he shouldn't have done what he did. He blew that up and he's done it in the past with other stuff. Maybe he's too old. He needs to go. But I'm telling you, he thinks it's funny, but he doesn't want to get challenged and actually sit down and look at this stuff and decide what's what and talk to us and say, hey, this is the way we're looking at it. Al, is there something we're missing? It's just about some of these commentators. It's all about bringing attention to themselves. Okay. In that situation, he blew that thing up with his outrage to try to get more people to maybe hit the likes or make himself more controversial so he would keep his job and stuff like that. That was that was stated way worse than it was. And I would say, you don't judge a guy by one performance. We all make mistakes. We all screw up. But look at the end of Russell Moore's career, the last 5 years of his career. I challenge you to look at the last 5 years in Vegas that he worked. He did every major fight.
Yeah.
Right. And it's never happened again. And it's never happened again. It's like, unless you've been a fight fan as long as we have, you remember that moment. And the reason why I remember the moment the most is because I had Albeco immediately, I think 20 minutes after the fight, jump on and speak to us. And even Abner Morris jump on and speak to us. But I got to say, after that, I never saw that happen again when it comes to
and
refereeing.
like you said,
Well,
Mora did the third fight.
They blew it out of proportion, and I'm going to explain to you why. These guys have foul-proof cups.
Yeah.
They have. I could show you films of guys getting punched directly in the groin, and their waistband is about half-inch thick, and they're foul-proof cups. And it was blown out of proportion. There were some low blows. Don't get me wrong. There were low blows. He was trying to take care of it the way he was going to take care of it. But those guys, let me tell you something. Guys react sometimes. If I hit you below the belt, you would go, and grab yourself because your mind thinks it's going to hurt. It's supposed to hurt.
It's like, yo, protect the jewels.
This. And you go, oh shit, that didn't hurt. But you're not going to say, hey, that didn't hurt. You get back to fighting, you're already grabbing yourself, and it looks way worse than it is. But I can show you videos that we took of punching guys in the groin and these foul-proof cuffs. Now, don't get me wrong. If a guy gets hit with like an uppercut and it brings the side of the cup into the testicles, it's that hurts.
It's painful, yes.
Well, even rubs against the thigh. I mean, you're going to feel that discomfort. You know, I mean,
yes, very sensitive.
But I do agree with you. There have been guys that have taken advantage of, you know, getting hit below the belt. Like one comes to mind with Johnny Tapia. He got in there with a guy. If you remember that fight, the guy got hit and he started rolling around like he was on fire. You know,
things happen like that all the time in boxing. These fighters are human. They're going to take what they get from us. You ever see the flopping in basketball and soccer?
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
Well, we got it in boxing. We got guys that get touched near the belt line and they're rolling on the ground. They'd rather take a payday, get the money, and walk out smiling. I didn't get hurt. I just made $500,000. It's just
Jack. Let me ask you this, because me and my co-host here, we've had this conversation about the floppers in sports, right? Boxing has always been, for some reason, it's always elevated that, oh, this is why boxing is going to the dire, you know, it's going under the grave. When you brought up like other sports, LeBron is the king of floppers. How come the fans are not that, they don't have that same reaction in other sports? But in our sport, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the sport every single time out.
I think it's because people come to see, it's not look, basketball is a game about putting an orange ball into a hoop, right? Boxing's about, machismo and giving it your all and taking everything that the other guy has and keep going. So when a guy goes in the tank like that, it's disappointing. Like what people didn't understand when Roberto Duran said no mas,
right?
That time, everybody went crazy. And look what happened with Chavez Jr. when he had less than stellar performances and quit and walked away and stuff like that. Because fans want to see a fighter give it his all so he can believe in himself as well. That's the purity of the sport. But they're human. We're human. These fighters are human. And I got videos that I show in my classes of fighters faking a low blow, and then the referee grabs the other fighter to warn him or take a point. And I got videos of the fighter looking at their corner going, I got stuff where a guy got hit right here. He goes down and grabs his groin, and it was a clean, clear shot. And he's looking at his corner. He's going like this. He's shaking his head all the time.
Usyk.
I had a guy. I'll tell you a funny story, and I love him. I see him all the time now. His nickname is Baby Tyson. James, I got his last name. We're doing a fight. I guess he was there. I don't know, there for payday. Maybe he thought he couldn't beat the guy, whatever. He went down. This is on a little club show. He went down, and I never saw a punch that he went down from. And I stood over him instead of counting. I said, "You did not get fucking hit. If you don't get up, you ain't getting paid." He jumped up, did a backflip, and started fighting.
That's great.
Club shows, you will see wild stuff like that, Jack.
Absolutely.
I was at a club show last year around this time, and a guy literally just in Sacramento, where I live. It was a Thompson boxing card, and the guy's opponent just stopped fighting. I mean, it was almost like Oliver McCall with Lennox Lewis, except
he had a mental breakdown that time. He had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, the guy just literally put his hands down, and the referee was like, "Okay, you're not defending. That's it. It's over. You're not defending yourself. You're not even trying." And he just stopped the fight. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
He wanted out of the fight.
Yeah, he was looking for a way out. Yep.
So, and our job is supposed to be sometimes a mind reader, and we're supposed to help pull these guys out of a fight when they feel that they can't win anymore. They've taken too much damage. You got fighters that will never quit in front of their father. When their father's in the corner. You got especially the Mexican, Hispanic fighters for sure, and now the European, the Russian fighters from Ukraine and places like that. When their fathers are in their corner, they'll they will get killed in that corner. They will die on the sword. And if the corner's not going to stop the fight, me and the doctors, we got to be the conscience to that corner. And if the guy, think about this, if the guy can't win on the scorecards, he hasn't demonstrated he has a real puncher's chance. He's got visible physical damage. Like, what's the point in letting him finish those next 4 or 5 rounds?
Have you ever been in that position after the fight?
Times.
Physical heated, like a really heated moment where the father thought, "Hey, like, why did you stop it?" And you had to explain to them, like, "Hey, man, I saved your son's life or daughter."
No, I got to tell you. So with experience and disappointment comes knowledge, right? So I've been in those situations where that happened to me, and I've learned, as well as other good refs. And now I try to never make it a surprise for the fans or the fighter when I'm about to stop a fight. So if I see a guy taking a beating, I'm bringing in the doctor to find out if there's a medical reason we need to stop this fight. And we're going to talk to that fighter one-on-one. But I'm also always asking the cornerman at some point in the fight, "Hey, you know him better than me. You spent all this time with him. He don't look right tonight. What is I'm not going to let him take a beating in there." And can I just tell you guys something? The fight the other night with Fundura and
Monsina, I think her name was?
Arelli.
Yeah.
I didn't stop the fight. The corner did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Because for 2 rounds, I was in that corner saying, "She's taking a lot of punishment. I'm not going to let this continue." And we sometimes are the conscious of the corner, and they do the right thing. And that's right there. That's the point. I was getting ready to stop it. I was in my stopping mode, and everybody knew that I wasn't happy because I brought the doctor. I didn't bring the doctor in, but I had said it, and they had me on mic and stuff like that.
Right.
But part of our job too is letting the cornermen know, "Hey, you're in this with us too. You know the fighter better than us. Don't let this fighter take a beating," because with us sometimes we don't want to stop the fight before it's actual, the best time to stop it, where it's a natural conclusion to everybody watching. That was a good time to stop the fight. Yeah, he should have stopped that fight. Sometimes just before that is a really good time. We want to stop the fight, and we just can't find a moment, and we're letting it play out a little bit. And if the corner's no help to us, it sucks. It sucks.
Right. How many of those corners, though, Jack, have you ever looked at and they're in shock of what they're seeing, like their fighter's not performing, or they've never seen their fighter hurt? How many times have you seen that blank stare from them and you go, "You know what? I have to make the decision," because they're in shock?
I don't know if I've seen what you're saying about in shock, but I got to be frank with you. I've seen, there's been a lot of times, every referee will tell you this. In between every round of every fight, I don't know if every referee does this, but I sure do. And the guys that we all think alike, we do this. I do a flyby. We walk into the corner of each fighter in between rounds and just look and listen. Looking at the body language, listening to what the trainer is saying, checking with the inspector. Did you hear anything that's going to assist me? Like, what if the inspector heard the guy say, "I'm dizzy, I can't see"?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So guess what? Time out. We're bringing the doctor in. That's life-threatening. We don't want to do that. So I always take the advice of the inspectors, is why I go into those corners. So with that being said, I know stuff before I see it's going to happen. And I've gone into corners before when a fighter is, many times, fighters getting their ass kicked. And the trainer is going, "You're doing great. Just keep doing what you're doing." And immediately I know I got to get this guy out of there. This trainer's an idiot. They don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's their friend. How many fighters bring their friend to be their trainers?
Yeah.
A lot.
And they don't know what they're looking at, because this is the poor man's sport. Our sport, unfortunately, is the poor man's sport.
That's true.
I want to work in conjunction as a team with the cornermen. We all do. But sometimes it's obvious to us that, it happens a million times. It's happened to me. Not a million, I'm exaggerating, but a lot, where the fighter, the female or the male, is taking a beating. And I'll walk in, I'll say, "You work with this guy for the last 6 weeks. He don't look good to me. She don't look good to me. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. This is okay." And I know right away, I'm on my own. I got to get help. I got to get this fighter.
Got to save him.
They're in denial.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes they have so much of their own being invested in that fighter, like what you were saying, they're shocked, Dave. Or maybe sometimes they have so much invested, they're looking through rose-colored glasses and they're not seeing their own fighter just taking a beat.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Well, guess
terrible.
what? We got to get them out. Us,
Yep.
me, the doctors, the commission, we got to. And then
Yeah, you got
to. We stopped it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you got to save them from themselves. That's true, because these guys a lot of them are tough.
They don't believe the fighters from the matchmakers, from the promoters, from their opponent, and themselves.
Fight fans don't realize how important it is to have the third man in the ring. And Ray Corona does a great podcast called Third Man in the Ring. But there's so many things that need to be repaired in our sport. It's not one. There's so many different stuff.
Yes.
But judging is by far one of the top of the list here. And I know you used to judge as well. Jack, tell me if I'm wrong. I think, my opinion and my feeling is that we should put judges in a monitoring room where they can't hear the reaction of fans. They can't hear certain things, influences, so they can have more of a better way of judging a fight by witnessing it away from the crowd. Do you think that could help out the judging problem we've been having in the sport of boxing?
I respect your opinion, but I disagree with you, because it's great when you're a judge and you're sitting there and you have your view, the other two people have their view, so you're getting different angles of this. But I like to hear the punches. I like to see in real live time the reaction of the fighter, the effect of the punch, and I like being ringside because it helps tremendously. Additionally, they've tried that stuff in a room and you don't really get it. Watching a fight on TV is totally different than watching it live in person in real time.
That's
watching
true.
it on TV, the problem, and I could show you a great fight out of Japan with I think it was Inoue. I'll remember the fight where the cameramen were inexperienced, absolutely inexperienced, and they kept showing from the waist up of the fighters when they were in close on the ropes, and you missed blows, you missed a ton of stuff, you missed guys staggering, you missed things that happened. A guy went down, his glove touched the ground, you didn't even see it. The worst part about it was they kept changing the camera angle, they kept switching different cameras, and you missed action. As a judge sitting right in front watching that fight, you're responsible to concentrate and see what's going on. But I think the real problem is, and I'm saying this with all due respect to both of you guys, have either of you ever taken a seminar in judging?
No.
You're cordially invited to come if I ever present one on judging. But wouldn't it be great if guys like yourself, more importantly, the big league commentators on all of the major networks, actually sat in and understood the criteria, but not only under the 4 criteria, how we view that criteria. You know what the 4 criteria are, you guys?
Yes.
Effective punching,
clean punching,
right?
Effective aggressiveness,
effective punching.
Okay, effective.
Yep.
Effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense.
Exactly. So, but what do those mean? And the problem with boxing is who and what they're teaching in Nebraska is different what they're doing here in California, because they do 6 fights a year. We do 120 a year. So it comes down to, where are they getting their knowledge from? They're getting their knowledge from, and when I was a fireman, we used to laugh about this too. On the LA City Fire Department, they used to encourage us to transfer to another part of the city every 2 years, to always, so you get a big picture of what's going on and a more global approach. So the firefighter or the guy who stayed in the same firehouse for 30 years, and that area was East LA, and they did single family dwelling fires and did a lot of grass fires. He might be an expert on single family dwelling fires and grass fires. He knows nothing about high rise and brush and rescues on the freeway, because there was no freeway in his district. And you got to know a variety of things. So if the guys in Nebraska are learning from a guy who was only a judge in Nebraska, And even if he did it 30 years, he's doing the same thing the way he did it 30 years ago. It don't work.
Well, I tell you this. I know that there's a building here in Sacramento for the commission. If you do it here, I would definitely show up to that, Jack. I'm not sure.
2005 Evergreen.
Right. I would definitely take a drive down over there where you're at. You know.
So I got a good one for you. Guys.
Go ahead.
Go to the ABC website.
Mm-hmm.
And look for the next ABC judges training and referees training if you want to join. Because you guys have a podcast, I would not be surprised if the ABC allows you to go for free. If you're gonna have to prove to them that you actually have a legitimate podcast and you want to help the sport by understanding. Yeah. But even if they don't, if you pay $50, $100 to take this course,
I think it's worth it.
It's well worth it. You know, oh my God!
I'll show them this interview, Jack, and say, "Hey, I'm definitely all about putting information out there." And yeah, that's exactly why I keep this little thing here too, because they don't show this anymore for some reason. I cannot remember
you got that from Showtime.
It was HBO from back in the day, yeah. And
so it's effective punching, not clean punching.
Effective, right?
Okay, because they don't show that anymore.
The thing you got to say to yourself is, what effect did the punch have on the other fighter? So let me just give you something real quick. You step in to come and attack me, right? And I stick a jab right in your chest, and it stops you in your track, and you got to reset.
Set right.
I didn't damage you,
but it was effective.
But my punch had effect, because now guess what? I'm fighting where and when I want to fight.
Ah, yes.
So this is the kind of stuff that we talk about. And they show Steve Weisfeld.
So it's
absolutely wonderful at it. And they show videos. Steve Weisfeld did something. You guys know Steve Weisfeld?
Yes. Yeah.
He did something at the ABC we just did in the Dominican Republic. I taught the referee seminar with Russell Mora, and Steve taught the judges seminar. And Steve showed a round of a fight, and he had everybody score it. And I don't know how he did it. And I'm just saying, the majority of people went 10-9 to the left, okay? He showed another segment, and he asked everybody to score, and everybody went 10-9 to the right. It was the same round, two different cameras,
the angles.
Yeah. I don't know how he even got it.
Right.
This is the kind of thing you want to get exposed to, so you can learn.
So how do we fix that, though, Jack? I mean, training. Okay, but so let me speaking about different, being on different sides of the corners of the ring, seeing different views, which you just mentioned right now. One guy scores it 10-9, the other guy scores it, another way. Then I don't think it's fair to say that. Like, let's say, okay, let me back up. Let's say we got a fight where two judges score one round really close, 10-9. Another judge scores it, let's say, end of a fight. They score it 15-14, two judges. And then the other judge scores it 117-111. Could that be because of the view that they're sitting at?
It could be because of the view, but it can also be our scoring system. Nobody's come up with a better way, but close rounds, no one writes it was a close round. It's 10-9. So
someone's got to win it.
Right.
Yeah.
If there was two very close rounds, and I tended to favor the guy whose punches were effective, not damaging, and the other guy thought they should be damaging punches. I've scored it one way, he scored another way. I got a 3-point swing because of the way I'm looking at it. The way to do this is with training, and the ABC and all the sanctioning bodies are trying to do this. It's just an enormous project for all of them. Everybody wants fairness. Let me just tell you something better. All of the sanctioning bodies and the ABC, and especially my commissioner, my executive officer, Andy Foster, what they're trying to get in line now is scoring a 10-8 round without a knockdown and scoring, how to explain? Fighter A is winning the whole round easily. He's winning the round. It's not excessively decisive, but it's decisive. There's different levels, and this is what you'll pick up in these classes. And then at the end of this round, Fighter B hits him, knocks him off balance with a flash knockdown, but an inside park home run is still a run on the scoreboard. That knock is still a knockdown, right?
Yeah.
Well, some guys are going 10-10, some guys are going 10-9, some guys are going 10-8, and we're all over the board, and they've been addressing that lately too as well.
That's good.
Taking a fighter off his feet has value. And they're trying to get everybody on board because of where they learned it, where they picked it up, how long they've been in this sport, and how they learned to do it. But they're working on that kind of stuff. They're working on it.
I agree with that, Jack.
Is there a, I'm sorry, because I'm trying to understand it more judging, because I do definitely want to take that class. Is there a,
Dave, let me interrupt you.
Go ahead.
You should try to find out. This will be wonderful for you. I don't know. Mario, you're in Sacramento. Dave, where are you?
I'm like an hour away from him.
Yeah, he's not far. Yeah,
I'm not very
Blythe?
far.
You said Blythe?
No, I said I'm like an hour away from G.
Where I'm at. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
from Sacramento.
So my point is, if you guys really want to grow, spend
Yes.
$2, make it a vacation with your family. The WBA is doing a thing in Florida. Look at all the sanctioning bodies where their conventions are or where they're holding training. I know there's training in Baltimore coming up this weekend in Maryland. I know I'm doing a seminar in North Carolina on the 8th for the ABC, and it's 4 to 5, 6 hours of theory and films and what referees could do different or better. As you start rolling into this, if you invest in yourself, I promise the dividends will pay off on your knowledge, this podcast, the amount of viewers that are coming to you, and your voice will be taken a lot more serious. Not that you're not serious now, but
Right.
you're going to be recognized as a true authority because of the training. It won't hurt you to invest.
Absolutely. No.
I'm going to look into that for sure, man. Yeah. And we appreciate the information. And hey, let me know next time it's here, and I'll show up. I'll definitely show up.
We don't really know each other, and I'm trying to be humorous with you, but I'm also being serious.
Yeah.
I'm not your father. I'm not the one that's supposed to call you and tell you.
Yeah.
Get on the internet.
He just gave us the website right here, man.
Yeah.
His websites, you can look up WBA, ABC. The websites will pop up. Navigate the websites, look under training, and you'll on the ABC website, there's a thing. It says training, and you pull it down. It says upcoming training, past training, and you'll find it. But same thing with the sanctioning bodies. If you just bookmark all the sanctioning bodies' websites and you check them from time to time, you'll see when the training is coming up or when the seminars are coming up. And I'm telling you, you will get great interviews while you're there from these officials. You'll see fighters at a lot of them. You'll get great interviews while you're working and getting the knowledge. That
sounds good.
There you go. I'm asking you guys. Mario, I was kidding around with you.
No, it's good. It's good. I understand, man, and I appreciate it.
Same commitment I'm asking of you guys, I ask of the referees and the judges. I don't want some guy who thinks that refereeing is a part-time job. Refereeing is a part-time job with a full-time commitment. You can't casually be a good referee. You have to be committed to excellence. You have to understand the jargon, the lingo. You have to articulate. When a person like yourself asks me a question, I have to be able to articulate to you and anybody with a 5th grade level what just happened.
Yep.
Well, you just described like 90% of the boxing fans out there, 5th grade level there, man.
Yes, sir. Now I want to ask you about one more fight.
Yes, anything you want.
And then that'll be it for me. But I'll tell you this, Jack. I was at the Top Rank show that was in Stockton, California earlier this year, and you were the referee for the main event, Johnny Beck versus Stephen Butler, I think his name was.
Yes.
Yeah. And that fight ended in a second round TKO for Johnny Beck. And I was press row, so I was pretty close to the ring. And when Johnny Beck landed that uppercut, man, it sounded like a firecracker went off in the arena. It was just boom. He hit him with a clean left uppercut. But I remember watching that. Now, you gave him a couple opportunities after he went down. His legs were really, really bad. But I remember thinking to myself, oh, boy, they're going to kill Jack tonight on social media. I already know it. And sure enough, I get on and I'm seeing everything. Jack Reiss is terrible. He should have never let that fight go on. And
needs to
Jack,
retire.
don't join the app formerly known as Twitter, now called X, because it's terrible. But explain to us what you saw that night, because I'll tell you what I saw. This is what I thought I saw. It looked like a situation where Butler just couldn't get his legs together, but it seemed like he was very conscious of everything. You were asking him questions. He was answering the questions, but he was just still very wobbly. So explain to some of the fans out there why you decided to let that fight go on as long as it did in that round.
I'm going to answer it in two ways. Okay.
Sure.
If I stopped it after that second knockdown, the same people would have been going online saying it was early in the second round. He pounded his fist. He pounded his fist and grunted and was mad that he got knocked down. He got up. So a lot of people would say, which I thought too, to be frank with you, he didn't have the experience to take the count on his knee, and he jumped up too quick. A good experienced guy stays on his knee, regains his composure, gets up at 8 or 9, and continues. I've seen it with him and other people. To answer your question, I know the optics were terrible, and if I could take it back, I would, because of the optics only. But the reality is, like you said, his brain was totally functioning and working. He did everything I asked him to do. He just didn't do it well. So I wanted to try to let the fight go to a natural conclusion, because what I had was the first round, 0 damage.
Yeah.
He got caught with one punch, got dropped really hard, got up with showing the desire to want to continue. His brain was fully functional. He just, it wasn't connecting to his legs, but I felt he had the ability to intelligently defend himself. And the reality is, he walked out of the ring, walked to the locker room, took a shower, went home, did not get sent to the hospital, and he survived it. But the optics were terrible for me because people felt I let it go too long. And one of these situations where, if you stop it on the second knockdown, you're going to get destroyed because it was early without any prior damage. He was on his feet and all that other stuff. I made my best judgment, and if I could do it over again, I would, because of the optics and the feedback I got, I would have stopped it after the second knockdown.
That's great. That's a great explanation. And yeah, that's what I saw that night. Again, being so close to the action, I could hear you literally, even though the crowd was going crazy, I could literally hear you asking him. You made it very clear to him, are you okay? Can you continue? And he said, yeah, I could. So, but his legs were just not there. So that's all I got. Dave, if you have any more, maybe we'll take
I got to tell you something else. So here's a perfect situation. Where was the corner in that?
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah.
So, and I just want you to understand the mindset. So I'm given a world title fight, right?
Yeah.
And the other guy was, I think he was from Canada.
Yes, he was Canada, and Janabek was from.
Steve had some experience in Canada, and after that, he's probably never ever going to get another title fight, right?
Most likely,
I know that this could be this guy's one and only title fight. If I stop this thing, and he's 10 seconds later, he's fully recovered, and he's jumping up and down and going, why the F did you stop it, and all that stuff, he's going to walk around and say, this referee, and I've had this before, this referee took my opportunity, stole my fight, and he's going to fight again and again and again. He's going to get more and more damage. So one of the things I like to do is, I hope this doesn't come out harsh, I like to try, if I can, to let the fight go to a natural conclusion to where everyone in the arena will say, it's about time Jack Reiss took that point. I'm glad the referee took the point. I'm glad the referee stopped the fight. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Not too early, not too soon. And it's a very delicate balance. And again, because of the optics on it, because his legs were wobbly, if I could take it back, I would. But the bottom line is, nothing happened to him physically. He was fine. His corner and him thanked me for allowing him to, to give it his best shot. But that doesn't alleviate my responsibility or anything, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, and as a fan, the first thing I was thinking too was like you said, the first thing you said was, it's a championship fight. You want to give these guys, unless again they're completely knocked out cold, you want to give them as much of an opportunity to try to recover, to try to win that belt, to become a world champion. for me, I get it, but again, a lot of fans don't. They just don't.
Yeah.
And guys, go ahead and drop a few questions here.
If they want questions, I'll answer those questions.
We'll let them go here shortly.
I got one really quick. I got one.
Sure,
just one question really quick here, Jack. From the refs from the past, did you ever come across like Mills Lane or even Mitch Helper, any of those guys? They leave an impression on you where you were like, wow, I want to model myself off these guys. Anything like that?
I've met Mills and Mitch and stuff like that. And let me tell you something. I steal from everybody. When I say that, I'm a plagiarizer. I look at Arthur McCanny and Richard Steele and Joe Cortez and Marty Denkin and Pat Russell and all these great guys we had in California, as well as guys I've seen all over the world. And I still do it, even if the guy's a brand new referee. If I see something I like what that referee has done, he or she has done, I'm going to call that referee. In fact, making the guy walk to the right or left the way we did? You know the way we make the guys walk to
right.
the right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've been told to make the guys walk right or left, but I didn't do it quite the way I do it now. I saw someone else do it that way. A guy named Eric Dolly out of New York and New Jersey, and a younger guy at the time. And I called him up. I said, Eric, I just saw you do something and I really like it. Can you explain to me why you're doing it that way and where you got it from? And we chatted about it and I started using it. So I don't need to be right. I just want to do what's right. And if I can learn from somebody else, I call them up and I try to learn.
That's great.
That's great.
Great. Yeah. Here's a question here from one of my longtime subscribers. Super Funk Master G says, Mr. Reiss, do you like the ability to use instant replay during fights?
I think I answered yes, Super Funk. I think I answered that before. I love instant replay. We all make mistakes. We all miss things. And instant replay gives us the ability to get it right in the ring, not hurt a fighter's career. Actually, do what's right for the fighters and do what's right for the sport and move forward. I think it's great and we all should use it.
Yeah, I think so too. If it can help, definitely. Although there are times like with the Franco and Maloney rematch, I believe, where it looked like the guy hit him with the side of the glove, the thumb side, and then they ruled it a headbutt, even though there was instant replay used, and that was in Nevada, not California.
Right.
Yeah, that was a little strange there. We got another one here, which is from the Beatles.
Mario, I did the Franco after that fight in Nevada. They did the next one in Oklahoma, and I went and did it there.
Oh, that's right. And yeah.
I missed something, and instant replay fixed it. But you got to understand, all the commentators, they both threw at the same time, and Franco went down.
Yeah.
And to me, it looked like the punch got him right on the side of the face, and he went down. All the commentators were screaming, "Oh, Maloney hit him! What a beautiful right hand!"
Right hand, right?
Yeah. When Franco got up, he wasn't hurt at all, and he goes, "I slipped." So I asked Gary Ritter, who's a very experienced referee. He was doing replay that night. We were switching off, him and I said, "Start the replay." And then by the time the round was over, I walked over. I said, "Gary, what was it?" He goes, "No knockdown." We changed it, and everybody was happy. The commentators saw that they made a mistake too. It was
beautiful.
Yep. It happens.
That's what it's there for. Yeah. And Lobito's Boxing Breakdowns here says, do you have to stay in shape to be a referee?
Oh my God, you should. And yes, it's a responsibility that you should take seriously. All I'm going to tell you guys is they're going 12. I got to go 12. And if I'm not in shape physically and mentally, I'm going to have a lack of concentration. If I'm having physical trouble in the ring, it's going to distract me from my mental concentration that I need. So me personally, and I know Ray and Tom and Russ and all these other guys I keep mentioning, we all do the best we can at our senior ages here to stay in some kind of shape, to be able to go, 30 to 40 rounds, 30 rounds a night usually. But that 30 rounds sometimes is over a 7, 8, or 9 hour period. We get to the arena sometimes, and we get there 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the main event doesn't even go on till 10 o'clock at night. It's long days. Me personally, I keep hydrated. I bring protein bars because You just don't want to be
stay sharp,
hungry, tired, dehydrated, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And a question here from Al's Ghost. It says, "What is the greatest fight that Jack has seen?" I think maybe he's saying maybe one that you've actually worked. So we'll just go with that. Which is the greatest fight that you've worked, actually?
That's a hard question. I don't know if I can. I've had very memorable moments in lots of different fights, so it would be hard to pick, one specific fight out. But man, it's hard to compete with Hagler Hearns, that 2-round war, and then Gotti Ward won. And there's just been such great fights over time that, my fan favorites when I was a fan. But I've had I've been blessed with some wonderful moments in lots of different fights. So to pick one fight specific, I really can't think of one right now.
How about what fight left your shirt soaked with blood the most?
That's a good question.
I think I got a picture of it I could show you. Berman Stavern against Chris Arreola.
Oh, yes.
Stavern Arreola. I was wearing a green WBC shirt, and I'll try to find it for you. And I was soaked. I was soaking wet. And you guys, it's almost like a disgusting thing, but I'm just telling you, when people bleed heavily, you could actually smell the metal, the iron in your blood. It's a different smell. It was all over me, my hair, my face, my hands. I'll see if I can find the picture and I'll send it to you and you can show the fans. In fact, I know I got it, Mario.
Here's another one. Now, again, I don't know if you can comment on this because it's about another matchup that you weren't involved in, but my buddy from Warwick Radio Network here says, in my opinion, the Morrell Jr. versus Yarbosanilov, I believe that's correct, stoppage seemed to have an effect on the trigger finger for the Romero Barroso matchup. I think he's talking about the Tony Weeks stoppage in the Romero Barroso matchup. I don't know, dude. Is that a thing with referees? I don't know if you could answer that, but is that a thing with referees where if something happens to a fighter, you're involved in the fight, do you carry that with you or I don't know.
Do you like you question yourself in another fight from a previous one?
Anyone who tells you that they don't is full of shit. We are human.
Absolutely.
And if we've been pounded by something, it's in the back of your mind, and it could have a great effect. You've got to fight that off. Mario, I just sent you that other picture, and you got to understand this picture I sent you. I had just finished wiping my face and my hair, but look at my hands and look at my shirt, and you'll see how jacked up I was.
I'm getting it right now. But yeah, I think that's something that, referees are human. Of course, if a tragedy happens and they're involved in the match, I think it's going to affect them no matter what. As professional as you guys try to be, those things definitely take effect.
I want to throw something else at you guys that you might not know that happens. So you're a ref, right? And you get a great older champion either trying to make their last hurrah or on the way down, and they're trainers, and you're in there, and this young upcoming Virgil Ortiz type fighter, buzzsaw, just or there's so many of them right now, Stevenson and all these guys, right? They're doing a good job of pounding that fighter, and you go in the corner and you want to help with the corner because you want to let the corner know that you're not going to let this thing continue. And the corner man, sometimes the chief second, is reluctant to stop that fight. You know why? He or she wants the fighter to know it's time to stop.
Oh,
wow.
So they don't help us sometimes, and we're stuck with it as well. Just another aspect of it.
Here's the picture that you sent me. Oh, yeah.
So look at my hands.
Yeah, they're all full of blood. Yeah. Ooh, man.
Yeah, and it was all over my face and hair, too.
Oh, man.
Do you have to go get tested after that, or they leave that up to yourself to go and see? You know what I mean? I married
a Latina, And she makes me go get tested.
she's like, no, cabron, you're not getting in bed until you go get tested.
When she starts talking Spanish to me really fast, I know I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
She tells me, take the clothes off in the garage, down to your skivvies and get in the shower.
That's how I was at the beginning of the pandemic. I get you, Jack. I'm right there with you. My brother here, Haram, is
everything in a bag. Then I take it to the dry cleaner.
Yeah. There's a question here about Pritchard Colon. Now, that's again one of the tragedies that has happened in the sport. And he's asking, was the referee at any fault for his current disability? I believe that was for punches to the back of the head.
Rabbit punches.
Sustained the injury. I think Ray, when I had Ray on last year, he talked briefly about that. I don't know if you want to give an opinion on that, Jack, or not. It's up to you.
There's an ongoing lawsuit, and I am not saying a word. The family is suing, and I'm not allowed to say a word. I won't say a word.
Got
Absolutely.
you. No problem, man. And yes, Shoeshine Boxing there says there is a card this weekend in Tahoe that our guy Terry Lane is promoting up there. Man, I wanted to go up there, but I went down to LA, and this is where I met Jack Reiss, got his information, and got him to come on today. So yeah, my trip without the wife is gone for the year. So it's one of those things. But I think we'll end it here. I said I wanted to go an hour, but this has been so good. We're almost at 2.
Holy mackerel.
Time flies when you're having fun, man. And this has been great, Jack. And we're going to get you on again. Maybe we get you and Ray on at the same time. I think that would be good.
That'd be great.
You guys got great chemistry together,
You'll have to have 2 interpreters, one for each of us then, huh?
That's great. But
absolutely,
Jack, if there's anything that you want to say to the fans, now is your time. I'm going to give you the platform to get your final thoughts out there to the fans. Let them know whatever it is you want them to know. Now is your time, buddy.
Yeah, I want to thank the fans, the loyal boxing fans that come out and watch. Please continue to do so. And you could help boxing and help yourself by trying to learn, what the judging criteria is, and trying to learn some of the rules of boxing and how they're practically applied and stuff. And maybe do what Mario and Dave here are going to do. Go to some seminars and join in. It'll be a lot of fun for you, even if you don't have any aspirations of being an official. I've had a lot of guys come to classes that we've taught that had no aspirations, but they just wanted to understand the sport a lot better. And we would love to have you guys there and entertain you and see what we do to be to work as hard as we work, so we could be the best we could be. And we're not perfect. We are not perfect.
You can count me in for next year for sure. I'll be there. I'm definitely was looking into it already and checking out the website that you have up. And I was like, this would be fun. But I'm one of those guys that love to go get just to one, live life, 2, learn something through life. And also, I always tell my kids, hey, it doesn't hurt to just jump into something to find out whether or not you're going to float or you're going to sink.
I agree.
That's true, man. And I know I hate to be this way, but I do know a little bit more than most fans because I do have 2 friends that I've known pretty much my whole life that work for the commission, two inspectors, and they do a majority of the shows that are in California. So, but as far as refereeing goes, that's completely different. That's why I like to talk with you, Ray, and if I could get any other referee on, I would love to have them on as well, and even a judge in the future, because like you said, that's a big part of fans and their outrage at times when they scream robbery and then they want to blame the commission for corruption and things like that. It's absurd, man. But
yeah, it's a shame, but that's the way the whole world is going now. And what I would ask of the fans and the commentators and whoever is, before you judge somebody, put yourself in that guy's position when it comes to stopping a fight or not stopping a fight, or who won the round. When you're sitting in that seat as the judge and the pressure is actually on you, it's a lot different than sitting at home or just without any pressure on you. You could even, there's scorecards. You can find real judges' scorecards, and you can download them and print them out and cut them up and go to fights, or even when you're at home on TV, write them out. Shadow judge, just judge it how you would have saw it, and then try to learn of why maybe these judges saw it a different way. And I wish the judges would do more of that. I wish everybody would do more of that. This sport needs people that are committed to it, not just here because they want to sit around the coffee machine at work and, hey, yeah, I did that fight. You know, it's
All I know is that I am a professional armchair quarterback Sunday kind of guy, and if anybody wants to come to my classes, I can teach you how to do it the right way as well.
Yeah, that's what you guys do for a living?
No. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do PDR work, which is paintless dent repair removal. I own my own company, but I was a union pipe fitter plumber for 25 years before I retired.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
So you were in the mafia. You were a union guy, huh?
I was a union guy, yeah, but we never saw any of that. And that word mafia doesn't exist in our vocabulary, you know.
I was a union guy too in the fire department, and I could use you right now. I got this big dent. Somebody opened that door in my car. I need that thing pulled out. But
well, I'll have G give you my number, and we could set something up. I could go head down over there and take care of it for you, brother. No problem.
You don't have to.
I'll take care of you.
You don't have to do that. I appreciate it. How about you, Mario?
He does great work. I'm a commercial driver, so that's what I do.
Oh, like Ray.
Yeah. So I'm a driver, and you know, I need
long
my
hauls,
8 hours.
long hauls, short hauls. What you do?
Short. I actually work for the school district here in Sacramento. So
nice.
Yeah, my daughter got me into it. She is special needs. So
God bless her, God bless you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, they all hold a special place in my heart. And it's a great job. It really is. But not as great as your job, man. You get to watch fights, get paid for it. You got the best seat in the house, Jack. And I also want to say thank you again for coming on. This has been great. We're going to get you on again.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we can get you and Ray on at the same time, because I think that would be.
Do I get to vote in that? Do I get a vote in that?
Hey, let me tell you guys something real quick. When I met Jack down in Inglewood, or the fight was in Inglewood, but the hotel was in LA. Yeah. I said, hey, Mr. Reiss, good to meet you. I introduced myself. I said, yeah, I just talked with Ray. I had Ray on my channel before I want to get you on. And Jack looks at me and he goes, well, if you had this guy on your show, then I ain't coming on, you know?
Ray and I have been real close friends for 25 years. You know, this just like you, I'm sure when you were a pipe fitter, you know, and you worked for a school district, there's politics involved, and you don't even do anything wrong, and you're in trouble sometimes. Yeah. And Ray and I have had each other's backs in multiple situations. You know, Ray went off to college for a little bit.
Yeah, so he spoke to us about that. Yeah.
He's got a checkered past, and he took a little vacation from boxing refereeing. I don't know if he told you about that too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we people ask Ray, how long you been a boxing referee? 1 year less than Jack Reiss. He got in trouble. But we've had each other's backs, and we've been good friends. And it's interesting, you know, we both come from the same side of the railroad tracks. It just, you know, you don't know it. I grew up at a real middle class or upper lower class neighborhood in Coney Island and Brooklyn. And Ray's got his, you know, past in East LA and stuff like that. So, you know, it was just a good, easy fit with us, you know, straightforward and telling each other the truth. So, and he's a great guy. And man, that guy has developed. He has become such a better referee than he ever was. And now he's one of the top referees in California, and he's trusted throughout the world. And it's because he really started putting the effort into it, and it's paid a lot of dividends for him. You could see Ray doing mechanics now that he didn't do before. What I mean by mechanics is, you know, sometimes things happen and the referee doesn't do anything, so you don't know what just happened. Everybody's got the camera on the ref because they're waiting to find out what it was. But like in baseball, when you know if it's a strike or a ball, and you know when the guy's out or not by the referees, the mechanics. Yeah. Well, Ray has been picking up these mechanics, and he's been doing great and making great judgments and decisions. And you know, but like the rest of us, he's had like what I've had with guys where he let it go a little too long or he stopped it a little too quick. It's inevitable with us.
Yeah, and I want to ask him about his stoppage with Prograis Cepeda. I got a bone to pick with. No, I'm just kidding.
Is there money on one of the guys?
No. I just want to ask him because, and I'll ask you this since you're here. being that Cepeda's a guy who's known for being resilient, going down, getting back up, fighting hard, and even winning some of these fights. Yeah, as soon as he went down, he kind of just, I don't even think he counted. I think he just kind of stopped it. So I just wanted to ask him, like, what did you see in Cepeda to stop it without counting? Because I think as soon as he went down, Ray just said, that's it. So he must have seen something,
Yeah, and you also gotta. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you guys might not know about.
Yeah, right.
We get fighters go into get concussions and go into serious comas, and it's 99% of the time it's because they had problem making weight, and they did a dramatic weight cut. And it doesn't happen in the upper weight divisions. It happens with the lower weight classes because 3 pounds to a guy 105 is a greater percentage to 3 pounds to a heavyweight. Right. So when these guys got to lose weight, and I'm telling you guys, I walk into weigh-ins and I go, the guy looks emaciated. He's gray. His face is sucked in. His eyes are sucked in. I go, how is this guy going to fight tomorrow? Sometimes in my own head. And then you see them 3 hours after the weigh-in and they've hydrated and they're a totally different person, but it's very dangerous because you don't get the electrolytes back.
Right.
In 24 hours. Anyway, maybe that was happening before the fight. I don't know. You're going to have to ask Ray, but there are things that definitely play into our factor when we're going to pull a plug on a guy. But Ray will answer you. He might say, hey, I pulled the plug too quick. Or he might say, no, this is what was going on. Who knows?
Yeah. No,
we can't take it back once we've done it.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Part. Yeah. And I would definitely love to ask him that. And again, I'm going to try to see if I can coordinate with you two guys to get you on.
I'd love to do it with Ray. We had a good time when I did his podcast. We had a good time. He's really stepped out of his comfort zone, even, from his background and his education level to take on a podcast and be doing such a great job. And I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him that he's my friend, man.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He does a great show.
Great show too.
Pay me for saying
that. Well, Jack, we're going to end it here. This has been great. And again, I'm looking forward to getting you guys back on and educating the fans more on other things that we didn't touch on here. But thank you for your time, Jack. And we will definitely love to have you back on. All right.
Sincerely, thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity. I think that we put out the questions you guys asked and some of your fans. I think we put out some great information that makes boxing better today. We didn't disrespect anybody. We didn't degrade anybody. And we, educated people, I think. So it was a lot of fun for me too. And you understand why I can't comment on certain things.
No,
absolutely. Absolutely. It was just a pleasure. Pleasure having you.
Nice to meet you guys, and I hope I see you guys again. Mario, I hope I meet you again in person. And Dave, I'd love to meet you.
We'll be
one day. And,
we'll be at some fights next year for sure in person. And we'll reach out to you, Jack.
Are you coming to the Haney Prograis fight? Either of you guys?
No, much as I would want to.
Yeah, that's my wife's birthday weekend. The wife's birthday weekend that week, so I'm here, but I would love to. But again, we'll see. We'll be at some of these fights for sure, Jack. And we'll definitely be in touch.
I'm in a totally different situation. My wife is almost completed with she's been with Kaiser for 20 years. They offered her a position to be an RN to go, and they're all expenses paid. She only has 3 more months left, and then she gets to go do the California State. So, like a dummy, I promised her I would do nothing without her for a whole year until she was completed with this whole class thing. And I screwed myself because she doesn't graduate until January. So I'm not allowed to do anything. I'm in the doghouse without even doing anything to be in the reason to be in the doghouse, unfortunately.
Hey, Dave, listen, I owe my wife so much, and I have been absent so much because of boxing. I always say boxing is my mistress because it's taken me away from my wife, my kids, my friends, weddings, bar mitzvahs, funerals. I've missed so much of it. I can't even tell you. And the other day, we had to put our 16-year-old dog down, and there was like no way. I had a fight that night.
Right.
I canceled because when this is all over, it's gonna be us too, And what you're doing What you're doing, I think, is wonderful, helping her to be the best she could be. I mean,
Thank
she
you.
supported you when you were in the union and doing,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think what you did is perfect. So don't.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Well, I always tell guys this though. They guys tell me like, why would you do that? Well, there's a reason why we've been married for 25 and together for 28 years. Sacrifices.
Yep.
And the guys who are asking you have been married 28 years to 4 different women.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
that's
I
great.
actually have a buddy who's I'm 50, he's 48, and I think he's been married to his hand for 48 years, if I remember correctly. But that's another story.
Oh my goodness. I think we'll end it on that one. So
hey, I mean, I've witnessed a guy pour beer over his hand, and I'll go like, what are you doing? He goes, well, I gotta get it somehow or another. I gotta get it drunk before I go to the room. I'm like, okay, it's up to you, brother. Anyways, man.
That's good stuff, man.
Anyways, Jack, again, thank you so
Nice
much,
to talk
man.
to you guys.
All right, brother.
All right, let's
You
give
too.
him a hand on the
All right,
way
take care,
out. Referee Jack Reiss.
And Mario, I was kidding about being your dad. I was just joking.
Oh yeah, I got you. No sweat, no sweat.
Ray used to get mad at me when I would kid with him like that. Man, you disrespected me. I said, no, I'm joking. We're friends. Anyway, see you guys.
All right, brother. You
Jack,
take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh wow, what an interview, Dave. We're gonna wrap it up here, man.
Yes, sir.
Great, 2 hours. I didn't expect to go that long, but hey, like I said, when you're having fun, this happens, man.
It flies. And I even told you, I was like, I think I can only make an hour, dude. And look where we're at now. It's like 2 hours in, and I'm gonna pay for it today, but tonight. But
guys, we all have another guest. Might have another guest coming on tomorrow. We'll definitely let you know about that. We do. Okay, cool. So let them know. Let them know real quick, Dave.
So tomorrow we're gonna have a lawyer / manager. He's been in the business for at least 25 years. Is Kurt Imhoff, who also was one of the guys that helped develop the Fight City, managed a lot of great fighters in the East Coast. And he's going to come on, and we're going to discuss his career, but also the state of boxing while he's on here with us and stuff. So it should be really fun, really interesting.
It's going to be great, guys. Again, this channel is all about information and educating the fans on boxing, inside and outside the business, all that stuff, guys. So for my co-hosts, Dave, 97 Rough from Leaving in the Ring, is G Funky Boxing. We're out. We'll see you tomorrow. Be on the lookout.
Peace.